Hey, what's up, folks? How is it going? Today's interview question is explain different types of dependencies in Terraform. So, we'll see this with example, then it will be much more clearer to you. And also at the end, we'll have our daily quiz, which I will give the answer to the daily quiz, which I post daily. I conduct a daily quiz on my LinkedIn page, Devops Challenge Hub. Okay. So, explain different types of dependencies in Terraform. So, there are two types of dependencies. One is implicit dependencies, and the second one is explicit one. So in implicit dependency, we don't tell the dependency explicitly. So it has to be understood by looking at the code. For example, here definition is like dependencies that Terraform automatically detects when one resource references others. In this example, you can see that uh, we are creating a T2 micro instance, AWS instance. Okay, AWS instance, example A. And then another resource, elastic IP address. And in the elastic IP address, we are mentioning a referencing like this AWS instance dot example A, then it dot ID. So this is an implicit dependency. So Terraform won't be creating this first because it knows it depends on this one because it will see that it has a dependency on this AWS instance example. So once this resource got created, then only it will be created because there is a reference here. This is called implicit dependency. We didn't clearly say that this resource is dependent on this, but there is a reference. So this is the like most common uh, thing, and this is the way we should go for generally. But we'll see what are the best practices, etc. So Terraform will wait for AWS instance example 8 to be created before creating this AWS IP elastic IP. Now let's look at the explicit dependency. Explicit dependency where Terraform can't automatically infer a dependency. So depends on is explicitly defined. So in some cases there may be cases where you are creating one bucket. I will show one example. You're creating one bucket and creating another bucket. So there is no direct reference to this bucket, but you dependent on this bucket for some reason. Maybe you want to copy some file from this bucket to this bucket, and so you have a dependency. So that you have to specify using depend on. That depends on. If it is not clearly, if it's not understood by this referencing kind of thing. So let's look at the example. So then it will be much more clear. So what we are trying to do here, we'll create a S3 bucket named Terra AWS Jan. Then upload a local file to this bucket. Then create another S3 bucket, bucket two, and now we will be copying the file from the other bucket, the first bucket. So this second bucket has a dependency, like second bucket that copy has a dependency on the first bucket. Okay. So we'll see how the code looks like. Here you can see that provider is AWS, US is one. First S3 first S3 bucket we are creating AWS S3 bucket, first bucket, Terra AWS 29 Jan. Then uploading a local file to the first bucket, AWS S3 object. We are uploading the local file. Okay. Bucket key source, and then the second bucket we are creating AWS S3 second bucket we are creating. Now we are uh, uh, having creating null resource to trigger the file copy using AWS command line. AWS command line. So null resource will be triggered now, copy file, and it depends on. So here it's not clear that it depends on this second this copy file. So we need to clearly specify that we depend on this because here we are not. This is not a Terraform thing, so Terraform doesn't know what we are going to do in this command, right? So this is just a command line thing we are running it. It's not a Terraform uh, code syntax or Terraform variable or something like that. So Terraform doesn't know what's going on here, and Terraform doesn't know that we are going to copy from this file to from this bucket to another bucket. So from first bucket, this example.txt, we are copying to the second bucket. So that's why we have to tell explicitly that we are depending on this. We have to tell clearly without any doubt, right? That is called explicit dependency. Otherwise, it's implicit, like when you are referring the variable, uh, that is the implicit dependency. Now I will run Terraform plan. So Terraform init I already executed before this. So it's already done. Now I will run the Terraform plan. And plan will show what are the things we are going to create. So we will be creating the bucket one. Then there is another thing where we are copying. Second one is a second bucket creation, and yeah, fourth, first bucket creation, copy, second bucket creation, and again copy. That null resource. So plan four to add, zero to change, zero to destroy, right? So we can see what are the things going to happen. This first bucket will be created. Okay. Then second bucket will be created. Then example file will be copied, and then null resource will be created. Okay. Null resource means copy will copy the from first bucket to second bucket. We can also see the dependency. We can also see the dependency. Let's go to explicit dependency graph. So dependency graph is a directed graph showing order of resource creation or destruction. And we can run this command Terraform graph. It will show the dependency. So if you want to see the dependency graph, you can run Terraform graph. If you want to see that in a visual form, Terraform graph, this will show in a text form, but it's still running. But if we want to, I didn't apply it, I haven't created it, but from that configuration file, it will be able to create a dependency. It has created a dependency. Okay, what I was telling about this visual thing. Visual graph, if you want to create, then you have to install this package apt get install graph via Breeze or Brew install or if you are on Mac, and then run Terraform graph, pipe it with dot minus the PNG minus of output into graph. So this is like a PNG image file, and you will be able to see the dependency visually. Otherwise, here the dependency is shown in a text format. Right? The dependency is shown in a text format. So this means right to left, okay, right to left dependency. And then what are the node items are getting created. And finally, we have this arrow mark. This arrow shows the, we'll see that arrow here. RL means the drawn from right to left, and node represents different Terraform resources. And dependency, we see this kind of arrow mark. So it means here we can see the arrow mark, second and third one. Okay. So this arrow mark means AWS, the first bucket must be created. This bucket must be created before Terraform can upload example file to it. This bucket must be created first before I can upload this. So this is the dependency of example file. So example file depends on this. Right? Here what it says, that second this copy file resource performs some action like executing some script. Terraform doesn't know what it does, but it depends on uh, the second bucket. But in the like now this is we are basically copying file, but here that's what we are telling that we depend on the second bucket. Okay. So these are the different steps where dependency graph is saying, and execution order of resources from this graph. We can read that first ST bucket, first bucket will be created, then example file to first bucket we can copy, then second bucket created, then copy from first bucket to second bucket. Okay. Now let's look into uh, so implicit dependency, explicit dependency covered, dependency graph also covered. Dependency graph. Next part is explicit dependencies that depends on we use. So when to use for rare situation where implicit dependencies are not sufficient, then we use depends on. Like dependencies are not clearly visible through resource attribute. Like when you are copying, it's not clearly visible through resource attribute. Then you use depends on. Resource creation and destruction order. Creation will be like the item which we are dependent on will be created first, and destruction will be in an opposite order actually. It will also dependent resources will be destroyed first. The resources which are dependent will be destroyed first. And so Terraform will ensure the correct order based on the dependencies, how it will be created and how it will be destroyed. Right. First, if B depends on A will be created, then B will be created, and destruction B will be destroyed, then A will be destroyed. Right. Best practices, implicit dependencies, use them when possible as they are more specific and optimized resource planning. So try to use implicit dependencies as much as possible. Explicit dependency use depends on only when absolute necessary. This is very important. Only when absolute necessary because it may increase the execution time. Clean up destroying resources. Dependencies affect both creation and destruction order as we discussed earlier. Dependent resources will be destroyed fast. Okay. Now let's go to today's question, which I posted on my LinkedIn page, Devops Challenge Hub. You can go and subscribe. You can follow this page so that you can get daily quiz, participate in the contest. Okay. Uh, question is today's question is what does Terraform primarily use to determine resource dependencies? Resource declaration order in the .tf file explicit depends on argument only. Interpolation expression referencing other resources provide configuration. So answer will be interpolation expression referencing other resources. So this is like implicit dependency is the most common one. And if you also use explicit depends on, but this is not the only one actually, right? So primarily depends on implicit dependency where we interpolate expression referencing other attributes. Based on the reference, we determine the dependencies. So that's the primary thing. Okay. I hope you like this video and please like it, share it, and follow, subscribe to my channel, YouTube channel, and also go to my LinkedIn page where I post daily quiz and contest, and follow my WhatsApp channel also. WhatsApp channel you will get daily updates. So WhatsApp Devops Challenge Hub. You can go and subscribe. Link you will find in the detail section of this YouTube video or on my LinkedIn page. Thank you for watching.